Welcome everyone, Chris Petri here. I'm so excited. We're having a fun time here. We're going to be creating a wonderful, gorgeous scene here in the countryside, kind of like wine country here. We have beautiful buildings, facades, clay tile rooftops, wonderful green trees, golden green trees, roadways, windows and doors, distant purple mountains. We have all of it right here on this video. I hope you're going to stick with me here. Follow along as we go. We're going to cover all the details you need, all the techniques you need to complete this painting. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see our setup here. We have our palette all ready to go with our colors. We're going to describe all the colors to you, what we're going to use. Also, we have our photograph that we're going to use for our reference. We're going to have it right here on the camera the whole time so you can reference this as we work. You'll have this here next to you. And we're just going to go through this one simple process after the next. The first thing we're going to do is get our layout with our pencil line started so that you see we're going to use a grid of a crosshair grid like this. We'll take that same pencil line grid, put it onto our painting here, and then we're going to take this and just transfer it over here with our pencil. So we'll just have our pencil that we're going to use, and we'll draw it. We'll just kind of take each of these shapes that we're seeing and kind of lay them out just like we see along these lines, the two vertical line and the horizontal line, until we get our drawing correct. We'll sketch in a little bit of where our mountains are going to go, our trees and our shrubs and our roadway here in the foreground, and that's it. We're all ready to go. And then we'll get right into all the colors you're going to need to mix to get this painting done, and then we'll get in and we'll do all the colors and get everything completed, and you'll have a wonderful time of it. I'm sure you're going to have great successes within this painting. And we also cover, if a few spots don't come out good, don't worry about it. Just keep working on your painting and work it all the way through to the end. And you can always just take your painting and trim out an area that you think looks perfect, and you can leave that, and then you'll just say that came out really great. And then you'll say, oh, well, I learned on the other sections that I shouldn't do this or that or the other thing. So you'll kind of learn as you go. And always remember, finish your paintings out all the way, and again, you'll learn something as you're going through the whole process, and then you're on to your next painting. So you'll be subscribing below on the right-hand side so that you'll be working with us on our next watercolor painting very, very soon. So you'll just get started on another one, and that is what's going to make you better as a painter, is working each week with us here over and over again, okay? All right, we'll see you in a second, and we'll get started. All right, so let's keep the momentum going here. We just saw the finished painting. Let's break down the process that we're going to follow as we create this wonderful painting here. So let's take a look at this photograph we just printed out from online. You might have, you can pick any photograph you like from online. You print it out on your printer. Maybe you just use your phone or your iPad or even your home computer, or even anything you might have, even a TV. Sometimes you can draw and paint right from a TV screen. If you find something on TV you like and you hit pause, you can draw and paint from that too. So you be creative where you're at, in your home studio, your home, wherever you're working. You can go outdoors, paint in the backyard, parks. When you travel, weekend getaways, vacations, you can just really use anything you want for your subject matter. Here we just happen to be using a photograph, or actually a printout we have from the internet. So what I'll do is I'll just break this down and kind of look at it and say, all right, how am I going to transpose this onto here? It's a little bit smaller, as we can see. So this format's a 4x6, and this is probably like an 8x10 format. So we have to make it a little larger, but we can kind of work that out with no problem. I think the first thing I'm going to do is find a ruler. Here we go. So I have a ruler here. I'm going to kind of find the halfway point just by, we could measure it. We could do that too. Let's do that. So this is 6 inches by 4 by 6. So if this is 6, 3 is the halfway point. So we can make a point there and a point there and say that's about halfway. And we can put a line across there, a pencil line. No harm to put a pencil line across our subject, or our reference photo, our reference printout, if you like. And then this was 4, so if we go 2 inches, like this, 1, 2, 1, 2, we go 2, that's the halfway point. So what we're basically doing is just creating like a grid. So we're going to make a grid like this with 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, evenly spaced. So now we can come over here and do the same thing on this. So I'm going to find another ruler, a little bit larger. Now we need to use a little bit larger ruler, and we'll use this. Now I'm just going to get the center point here. This is 9 inches approximately. So if this is 9, 4.5 inches or 4.5 inches is approximately halfway, 4.5, about there. So that's that halfway point between the top and the bottom. And then over here, if we just spin our ruler around this way and we say, okay, this is about 8 inches, so 4 is about halfway. So now we have our 2 points the same as we did here. We just said if this is a 4 by 6, we went 3 and 3 on the vertical, and then we went on the horizontal, we went 2 inches and 2 inches, because this is 4 inches across this way. So if you have 4 inches across this way, you just measure over 2, make a mark. That's your 2 inches and 2 inches on this side. And again, we use 6 inches here. This is a 6 inch by 4 inch printout. So the 6 inch up here, that means we just go down 3 to the center and then 3 this way. And that's the center. So that will be the center point. And then we just did the same thing here. We just took this larger paper and just said, how large is the paper? 8 inches. Well, then we just go with the same thing. Halfway is 4. Then we just spin our ruler around this way and say, well, this is 9. That means that's 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches. You can use centimeters too, obviously, if you're working with the metric system. And then we have our same grid pattern of the 4 sections. So let's do that. Let's take this and just make a pencil line across here. And then across here, same thing, halfway point. Hope you can see that on the camera. I think you can. I can see pretty clearly here in my viewfinder. All right, so we have our grid the same as here. Now all we have to do is just pretty much reference this crosshair grid onto this and then place all of our subject matter right in the same locations. So let's see how that works. Okay, so the first thing we notice is this dark here, which is some trees right in the middle of the painting, which is a really dark, which is good. That kind of gives us a really good reference point for the start to our painting. So I just look at this and say, well, there's a little bit up here, like that. Then it comes down here, like so. And then it comes across here, and then it comes down this way, and then it goes across this way. Then it comes up again this way. And then we have a building over here. And it comes across this way and like this. So right away you can start right out in the middle of your painting just using these wonderful grid lines to kind of place your subject matter right in the center here like we did. And then this comes down across here like this. And then what I'm going to do is, we'll get to that later as far as once we get our drawing and our sketch completed, then you can improv a little bit and add a little more subject matter to your composition if you want. We'll kind of talk about that as we go, but let's just keep working here. So we see that we have this rooftop here, and it follows the same line. It goes across this way. So if you can imagine, it's just, you can kind of see this line going across here. You could even use your ruler and just say, okay, I'm going to follow this same line right here with the ruler. And that's going to be the bottom of the roof over here. And then right a little bit in from the edge of our boundaries here, we do see that there's a vertical this way for the building. So we're going to take that vertical and put it here. Like that. So now all we're really doing is working with getting our lines for our structures here into the composition. And then we notice here on the bottom of this section here, this really dark right here, bottom of this section, that line carries straight through like this, right over to the, and that happens to be the road that goes into this picture. There's like a road going down into this wonderful scene here. So then we take that line and we just carry it right across on an angle, the same way, like that. Okay, now here we notice the corner of this building is right here. So we're just going to carry this line down. That's going to be the corner of the building here, like that. Although we do notice that here at the bottom of this building there is another roadway coming in this way. So there's a roadway coming in this way, so we want to take this line and just erase it a little bit. So sometimes if you go over a line and you go too far with one of your pencil lines, no problem. You just grab your kneaded eraser. Just mentioning this, you know, for everyone, all of my art supplies that I use on a constant basis, that are my own personal art supplies that I vouch for, they're great. They work fantastic. They last a long time. They perform to a high level. They're all in the comment section down below. Sometimes you have to click the word more down below. You'll see the word more. You click on more, and that's more information. And you'll see the links to all of my art supplies. And basically, I buy all my art supplies on Amazon, essentially, because it's really quick delivery. I don't have to drive around and waste gas and spending money on gasoline and wear and tear on my vehicle. I just order from Amazon. They deliver it. And everything is pretty much everything I can purchase for my art supplies are right on Amazon. So I don't have to really stress over that. I can work on drawing and painting and having a great time with my art and not worrying about going out and spending hours traveling all around the local areas trying to find art supplies. That's really a waste of time for me. So that's just how I kind of think of it. And then you're the artist. You're going to figure out these things on your own and kind of see if that works for you, ordering things online, or if you want to go out and shop at the stores. I shop at the stores too. That's fun too, just to go out and kind of really see things and, you know, kind of like a tactile experience. You know, go there, pick up the art supplies, check them out, look at the, you know, sometimes you do need to go out to the stores and look at some of your art supplies, like your brushes. You want to maybe go to the art supply stores to buy brushes so you can kind of look at them. But again, any of the brushes I do have in my list below, in the comment section down below, they're brushes I've been using for a long time, so they're really excellent quality. You won't have a problem if you buy them. They're going to perform, you know, to a high level for you. I've already tested them, tried them out. I've been through a lot of different art supplies over the last 15, 20 years painting watercolor. So I've kind of done the work for you, and now you can just relax. And I've done that work for you, the research and all of that. So now we're looking at the angles here again. So we have a beautiful, this is a really great, kind of like this road over here on the left coming into the painting is swinging around and then curving into here. And it's also, the road is coming in this way. So that's really a great way to lead the eye into the painting. So we're just getting those same lines over here, curving around in here like this. And this one is coming this way. So there we have our roadway. And then here on this roadway, we do have maybe a little bit of a retaining wall over here with some retaining wall with some stones on top. And then we have some trees and shrubs and things over here. Just some rough indications like that for that subject matter there. Some pine trees and bushes and things over here. Then over here on this corner here, you can see that's the building over here. So we're just going to take this line and kind of curve it, a little tiny bit of a curve to it. Probably it's straight in actuality, but a little curve to that line doesn't hurt. Kind of actually makes it flow into the painting more like this. And then on top of this here, we see that this line here is the other rooftop over here, like this. And it goes up like this. And then we have more trees over here, up here. So now you see we're sort of really putting everything all together with our drawing. And as I'm going, I am lifting up some of those crosshairs. Once we kind of get things looking good, you can erase your crosshair lines as you go, like this. So you see I'm erasing my crosshair lines like that. and they're still faint. You can barely see them. You might not be able to see them on the camera, but these lines that I've just erased are still there on my paper. I can still see them, so I can still use them as a reference point. But it is good to sort of, as you're working with your drawing, you know, you erase your crosshair lines as you go, and then it'll be a little bit easier later when you're painting that you don't have to worry about it. And then maybe, you know, I like a lot of pencil lines in my painting, so I don't mind pencil lines, so that's okay for me. But maybe you might like less pencil lines when you're painting. You want to have more paint and less pencil showing through, and that's fine. And a little bit of a shadow there. I'm just going to put a little bit of something like that. And then this here is there's some roofs over here. We're gonna create some roofs over here, and then right up from this roof here, there's another roof here, and it goes across here a little bit. Like that. And then across from there, there's another rooftop there. Like that. And there's another roof down here like so, and there's some trees. So we're just kind of working all these rooftops and trees and things all together at one time. A little bit of a tree over here. So you have some pine trees over here. So I think right now we've done a lot. Let's take a quick break. We've almost worked the entire sketch, but we still have a little more of the sketch to do, and the distant mountains over here, and some more of these rooftops. Let's not push our luck too much by going too long with drawing and drawing and drawing, and the next thing you know, we'll start to get fatigued, and we might kind of start to make some mistakes or lose track of what we're doing. Best thing to do is, after you've been working about 15 minutes or 20 minutes with your pencil drawing, best to just take a break, 10, 15 minutes, you know, or even 5 or 10 minutes, stretch, stand up if you're sitting. If you're standing, maybe sit down in a chair, relax a little bit. Then once you're done, kind of relaxing for a few seconds, you know, for a few minutes or so, then you get back up again, and then you go back in and start looking at things and start finishing your pencil drawing. And trust me, you will do a lot better with taking breaks, unless you have a really phenomenal concentration level, which some people do have. So if you have that really excellent quality of being able to concentrate for long periods of time, then you don't really need to take any breaks. But I would say most people will need some breaks here and there. So you just judge it according to how you feel your concentration level is. If you feel like you're not fatiguing at all, and you feel like you're really alert and you're able to focus on everything you're doing, excellent. Just keep working. But if you feel like you're starting to get a little tired, you might be kind of getting a little foggy, a little bit, you know, no problem. Take a break. That's all. You go according to how you feel when you're drawing and painting, okay? All right, so let's get a quick break, and then we'll come back and finish up our pencil drawing, and then we'll get right into the painting, and we'll start getting some wonderful colors right into this whole composition here, and you're going to see how it just really sings out with beautiful colors, the greens, the oranges, the yellows, the golds, and it's a really beautiful color scheme in this painting. So we'll get started with the painting pretty soon, but we'll just finish up our pencil sketch in a few seconds. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, let's finish up our sketch. Why not? So we kind of looked here, we see we have most of our main lines and structures completed. Maybe we need to put a window in over here. I think there's a window over here. Let's do a window over here. And then another window over here a little bit. And then everything is not perfect. When you draw these distant buildings over here too, especially, when we're starting to draw these buildings over here, the rooftops and the windows and things, these are just kind of loosely done. These are more in the distance. So if you can imagine the foreground here in our painting, that's the more crucial part that we have to get our angles, a little more careful here right here in the foreground. But then as we get into the distance here, you can make things a little looser and they don't have to be perfect. So I'll do some windows, a few windows here and there. You can even take some of your windows and things and put them in with your pencil, with the darks, like the windows and things. So this way you can kind of paint over them later. Like this. So I'll just put a couple windows in like this. And that. And some bushes and things over here. This one might be this way, actually, the roof like this. Like that. Okay, then we have this over here, and then maybe another one up here. Some trees up here. So you're just going to finish off your sketch. And there's some more. A couple more rooftops over here in the distance. And the trees are kind of overhanging over here. This is pretty much all darks. Pretty much over here. Trees kind of like in the foreground over here. In the front area of this foreground of the picture. So now we can kind of see we have pretty much all of our let's do a little bit of trees over here. So this is all going to be trees over here. Kind of darks there. Like that. Maybe some more trees over here in the distance. All right, I think we have our sketch completed. Looks good. We have our window here, a window here. Our windows are completed in the distant buildings, the distant homes here in this hillside. Kind of like a beautiful farm, like in France or Italy, something like that. Some beautiful rural areas with some clay top roofs, the orange clay top roofs, and lots of trees and bushes and pine trees and interesting colors. All right, I think we're good. We have pretty much everything we could put into our painting right now using our reference photo, which is so important. You want to have a reference photo, or you want to be working in, plein air, where you're out there actually on site painting, or you're going to be taking photographs and bringing them back to your studio, or you're going to be working from magazines or from your phone or your iPad or your home computer, your TV screen. Sometimes you can take DVDs or movies and hit pause and paint interesting things from that. You really, as an artist, you have all the subject matter at your disposal at any time to do all kinds of interesting creative ideas when you're coming up with subject matter that you want to paint, draw and paint. So we happen to be using a printout of a picture we found online on Google. But you can really do anything. You can take my new book, and I have a new watercolor book out. You can check that out below. You could take my book and use all my photographs in my book to paint from. You can sketch the sketch lines like I have here on the book. You could actually just take the book, mark it up with pencil and grid lines, and do these types of things. So, use everything to your advantage as an artist. And okay, let's take a quick break now. After we finished up our sketch, we'll just get prepped. We'll get our brushes. I have to go grab a few brushes in my studio here, fill up my water bucket with some water, and we'll be ready to paint. I'll grab my apron and we'll get started. Okay, this is really exciting now. We're getting into the painting part, and you're really going to enjoy this because it is a beautiful color scheme. Greens with some beautiful yellow ochres and oranges and reds, and that's a beautiful kind of combination of colors with a little bit of, again, the grayish colors in the background for the mountains. We forgot, I forgot to put in a little bit of that mountain, that distant mountain range. So let's do that. Let's put in our distant mountain range like this, just a little bit like that. Okay, I'm hoping you can see the sketch here too, and I'm hoping that this is clear so you can kind of see this. You'll be working from this, and then once I'm done with my painting, you can work from that too. So you can hit pause at the end of this video or at the beginning of the video when you see the finished painting. You can also hit pause and work from that. You can do a screenshot or a screen capture. If you don't know how to do that, you just look it up online on YouTube. You just type in how to do a screen capture, how to do a screenshot on your computer or your phone or your iPad. And then, well, that's all you have to do. You just do a screenshot, and then you can basically print out my painting and do the same process using my painting as your photograph. Okay, all right, so let's get excited, get ready. We'll get ready to paint. All right, we are back, and we're going to start painting. Wow, we're going to have some fun. This is going to be exciting. The colors, the beautiful watercolors, the oranges, the greens, some of the purples, the cream colors, the tan colors, the yellow ochres, the oranges. We're going to have a great time. I always mention many times, you'll hear me say this all the time when I'm creating paintings here on YouTube and watercolor, and also too in my book. I'm hoping everyone's going to pick up my book because I explain in very, very strong detail the two methods of watercolor that I sort of use, the techniques and methods that I use in watercolor, and that's the Ala Prima technique or the glazing technique. So those are the two techniques I use most always, those two. And a lot of times I'll use them in combination together. But the main thing in my book, I go into detail about how you should learn both separately. And then after a while, maybe 1 or 2 years of working with the Ala Prima method and the glazing method, or the techniques of the Ala Prima technique and the glazing technique, once you work with them separately and you kind of learn each one on their own, then once you're done with that after 1 or 2 years, then you'll just go by feel after that, and you'll just use them in combination, or sometimes you will just use mostly Ala Prima, or sometimes you'll use mostly just the glazing technique. But I do cover that, again, in detail in my book, and I'm hoping you'll pick up my book and really work with it. And I think if you work with my book for a couple of years and just go through all the paintings, maybe once or twice through the book, which maybe might take about, a year, or, if you're really doing a lot of work and working a lot of hours, you can obviously get through my book really quickly, maybe in like 6 months. But anyway, if you're working with these two techniques and you learn them independently from one another, then eventually you combine the two, and then you can work with either one and use them in combination to suit your own style and technique and how you're creating your own paintings. But this painting is going to be Ala Prima, and the reason I say that is I'm just going to go in and do everything at one time, and I'm going to go in and do the darks first. So basically, if you can imagine that the Ala Prima method, you're doing darks first, the dark tones first, the dark tonal values first. And then you'll go into your lighter washes, like all of the lighter greens, the purples, the tans, the yellow ochres. You're going to do all those lighter washes last. Your first is going to be your dark tones, these dark greens, these dark, beautiful dark greens and bluish greens here. That's going to be your first thing you're going to work in your painting for the Ala Prima method. For your glazing technique, that's kind of a little different. When you use the glazing technique, you're going to start with all of your light washes first, and then you finish with your darks. So that's basically like the two methods that I teach for watercolor. That are the two techniques that are really fundamental to the watercolor medium. So again, we're going to be using the Ala Prima method here. And that's, again, the darks first, and we're painting everything at one time. Glazing technique, obviously, again, we said was the light washes first, where we might take a whole light wash of light watercolor paint across the whole picture, and then do the dark secondarily. Okay, so that's just, wanted to kind of cover that just to start with, so everyone can kind of get a feel for what we're doing here now on this painting. So what I'll do is I'll get a decent sized brush here. This is a Da Vinci number 8 travel brush, and it's Kolinsky sable hairs, so that's natural hairs. Again, most of these, I don't know if I have this on the list below in the comment section below, but I do have 90% of all my art materials and supplies I have below in the comment section. And you just click on the links and you can find everything you need on Amazon through those links that I have. But anyway, this is a number 8 round brush, natural hairs, and then I have a really nice rubberized water container, which is kind of quiet, so you don't have to listen to me banging on, making noises with the other. I upgraded myself and got these nice quiet water buckets. So these quiet water buckets are really good. This way you don't have to listen to that annoying sound of me rapping on my water buckets. Okay, so what I like to do when I'm using the Ala Prima method is I like to keep a tissue in hand so that I can dry off the water off of my brush. Once I rinse my brush, I dry off a little bit of water, and then I go over to my paint supply. That's basically the technique of working with Ala Prima. You don't want too much water flowing onto your painting, so you want to keep your brush moist but not wet. So when you want to keep your brush moist, you rinse off your brush in your water container. So you just rinse off your brush in your water container, dry off a little bit of the water onto a paper towel or tissue or a sponge or whatever you have. Your apron, you might tap on your apron if you have an apron. And then you go right in and you get your paint. And you start putting out your paint. So I'm going to mix some greens, yellow ochre as well in those greens, like so. Nice warm greens, like this. Sap green I started with. Then of course you can add some French ultramarine blue to make a darker green for the shadow areas. A little bit of brown in there maybe. And some raw burnt sienna. Like that, a little more blue. So this way you have a nice mixture of light and dark tonal values in your greens. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to start going in. And I have this good sized brush here. You can see how this is a really good sized brush here. We can get a lot accomplished with this larger brush to start with. We don't want to start out with something very small like this. If we start out with a small brush like this one, that's going to really be time consuming, and we'll be spending a lot of time doing all small brush strokes. So try to use as large a brush as you can when you're doing your watercolor paintings. That's a good rule of thumb when you're doing watercolors. Try to use your largest brushes as possible. This is a good size, again, format we're using here. We're using the, I think this was 9 by, just want to double check here. Yeah, this was an 8 by 9. Yeah, about a 7 by 9 format, like here. So mix up some darks here. Get your greens, your darks, burnt sienna, burnt umber, sap green, French ultramarine blue. Don't be afraid to get some really good darks in there in the center of your painting. And the reason I say that is this is going to be where your eye is going to really go to when you first look at this painting. The first thing you're going to see is this large mass of darks of these trees right in the center of your painting. And that's going to look good. It's going to kind of give like the viewer a bam, a nice dark right in the center. Your eyes are going to focus right in there. And then your eyes are going to drift around the painting a little bit, but they're probably going to come all the way back to here all the time, which is good. You don't want to have people's eyeballs flowing off the paper onto someone else's painting if it's in a gallery or something. So try to keep that in mind, that one of your goals as an artist is to keep the viewer looking at your painting and that kind of helps a lot. So now you'll see I'm lightening up my washes with these greens over here. And that's with the lemony yellow, the cadmium lemon yellow, and the yellow ochre over here. And that's all I'm going to do here is just keep working that same idea of I'll do a couple splashes for the trees here. Then as we go into the distance, we'll make some tree colors, but more blue, cooler. So these are some trees in the distance. We're making them a little bit bluer, cooler. Blue is the distance color. If you want to imagine, if you want things to look like they're kind of receding in your painting and going further into the distance, you would just add some blue to it. And that kind of just gives and you make the color and the tone a little lighter. So you add some blue to it and you make it cooler. You add some blue and you make it lighter. You can do some finger tapping to get some interesting maybe you will start to add in some orange and red into your greens, so that we have a little bit of tie-in, because we're going to have some orange roofs and things. So might as well add in some orange to our greens and red. That will harmonize the painting. So you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm pretty much not doing anything too earth-shattering. I'm just following this reference photo. And we have some more darks, greens, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, sap green, a little bit of burnt sienna. Wow, that's a dark there, right? That looks good. You got to have those darks in there. Scrub around, maybe do a little circular motion like this to get some interesting shapes going. All right, and again, I'm going with that same idea. The only thing is up here where you see these darks up here, I can do those last because I'd rather do the mountains first up here, the lighter mountains, and then go over the top with this darker dark up here. So starting with the darks is important to have that idea in your mind when you're first starting your painting, when you're doing Ala Prima method. But you also can hold off on a few of the darks until the end of the painting after you have done some other work to your painting. So you kind of, that's a feel thing. Watercolor is a lot about getting the feel for it. It takes time. You got to really be patient. Don't ever feel like you have to be rushed with watercolor. And again, I know I'm kind of throwing in some, theory here, but it is important to realize that when you're starting out in watercolor, you've only been working a couple years in watercolor, you've learned a lot in a couple years, but you still have like some feel things that you will learn as you go. So always remember, with watercolor, you're going to learn over a long period of time, you're going to get better and better and better and better as you go. Always. You'll always be learning something new. As long as you're painting all the time, you know, you're picking up your brushes and your paints and your pencils and you're drawing and painting all the time, you're going to be learning things every time you pick up your art supplies and you are working at it. So the more hours and time you're putting in and having fun and in doing that, you're going to be just learning more things about the medium, about watercolor, how it reacts when you're painting with it. You'll be learning about when to add washes, the darks, when to add some lights, when to use the glazing method, when to use the Ala Prima method. You'll learn all these things as you go. But you never have to worry. If you're just working a little bit at a time, you're going to be fine. Don't stress. Don't stress. No worries about it. Don't stress. Make a mess. With watercolors, there's always going to be messes, and don't worry about it. Have fun with it. Okay, so we did our windows here on the sides of these buildings, which are kind of dark. And what else do we have? We have a little bit of darks over here on this roof here, like this. Like that. We have a little bit of roofs going this way. Okay, so now you can see things are coming along. Red, cadmium red, orange, cadmium red. We'll start doing some of our rooftops here. So you see I'm doing some lighter oranges and reds now. And then we'll put in a little bit of these reds here, which are a little bit exciting colors of red. Some other rooftops here might be a little bit not as much exciting reds in there, but still we try to make the then as the colors go in the distance, they get lighter and grayer, as you can see. All right, so we've done quite a bit of the we've actually worked quite a bit of our darks now. You can see we've got a lot of the darks in now. You could do a little splashing here and there. So sometimes I'll go a little bit off the So if I'm looking at this, I can change it. So you always feel free to change your compositions and things as you go when you're painting. And I'm doing a little bit of light wash over here on this side. Like that. And I'll tie that in a little bit there. We'll take another break. Let's take another break. Again, don't go too long without taking some breaks. Okay, I'll continue with these darker trees over here on this side once we come back, but I wanted to get them started anyway, and then burnt umber, French ultramarine blue to make it a little darker here. Green, sap green, like that. A little bit of a dark there just to kind of anchor this down over here. All right, we're looking good so far. So I'm hoping you're having a good time of this and you're having good luck as we go. And don't worry, if you ever do a watercolor and it starts out good and next thing you know it's not going so great, finish it out. Just completely finish the painting no matter what it is. Don't ever worry about it. That's the best advice I can give, is don't stop in the middle of your watercolor and think it's going terrible and then just leave it there. Just finish it out. Just keep working as you go all the way to the end, and then you can set it aside and then look at it the next day or the next, in a week. But the next thing is you just pick up another piece of paper and you start another painting. So always remember, you're always working your next painting. You're not focusing on just one painting that you're doing. You're always working on the next one. And if you have one that sort of doesn't turn out so great as you're working on it, finish it up. Just finish it through. Even if you rush toward the end and just say, all right, I'm just going to finish it up and whatever. Do it that way. Don't tear it up and throw it out or get frustrated and just stop in the middle of it. Just keep working on it. Imagine it's just you're practicing as you're going through the whole painting. So if one part doesn't come out so great as you're going, no problem. You just keep working on it. And then you just realize, well, there's another part of the painting I can work on I'm going to learn something about as I'm going. And that's all you have to do, is just really always remember it's a learning process. Maybe in the beginning of the painting here that you're doing right now with me, maybe some of these darks didn't come out great for you. Well, no problem. We're going to be doing smaller darks in these windows over here. So let's keep working on this and get some of those darker, smaller windows and doors in these other buildings that are in the distance here. And that might be something that you really be excited about. And then you can always just take your painting and cut around it, and you're just going to leave it. You can always trim your paintings down once you're done. Trim out an area that looks really good and leave that area and set it aside and say, yeah, that area came out good. Maybe some other area in your painting didn't come out good, but always remember, you can take a pair of scissors and cut around your painting, and the parts that come out good in your painting, you save those parts. You trim it out and say, that part came out good. I like that. That looks good. Maybe this other part didn't come out great. Well, then you just take that and you put it in the recycle bin. But you'll always have parts of your painting that are going to come out good. Other parts might not come out so great. I mention this because I did the same thing and I still do the same thing. Sometimes I'm creating a painting, parts of it don't come out good. Other parts do come out good, and that's what I do. I just focus on what came out good. So do that. Give yourself some encouragement. Be excited. If you have a few parts of your painting that come out really good, get excited about that. And then you're just going to parlay that to the next painting that you do, realizing that the next painting might be the same thing. Parts might come out good. Other parts may not. Take whatever comes out good and, focus on that. And you just keep doing that painting after painting after painting as you're working with us here on our channel. And I'm hoping you're going to subscribe so you don't lose us. I don't want you to lose me here. I know some of you might come here. This is your first time here. Welcome if it's your first time. You might be here the first time and go, oh my God, this is fun. It's great. And then you forget to subscribe on the right-hand side below. Next thing you know, you can't find me again. I want you to make sure you can stick with us week after week, month after month, and year after year, painting in watercolor. So please hit the subscribe button and thumbs up too if you really like this video, because that means YouTube will actually promote our videos more, and more people will come along and join along and have a good time with us here as we're doing our watercolors. So in any case, let's get back to painting in just a minute, but it's always good to take a few breaks. Let's do that. Let's take a break, and then we'll get back to finishing up. But I think we're pretty much like 70% of the way through, complete. We have a few more darks to do in the windows here in the distance, a couple light washes in the foreground, and then we'll finish up with these darks over here, and we'll also put in that distant mountain, that beautiful distant grayish looking mountain in the back, which really looks good. It's nice and soft and mellow, which means it's far in the distance. Again, it's cooler and farther in the distance. So let's get back to painting in just a minute, but let's always take a break. All right, so we're going to get back into the painting, and if you've noticed, I've really only used this one brush the whole time, the number 8 Da Vinci travel brush, natural hair Kolinsky Sable natural hair brush, number 8 travel brush. And these are great travel brushes. Again, you can keep these in your backpack, your purse, your shirt pocket. When you're done painting, you put this right like that. There's a hole in the top so that it air dries out, so you don't ever have to worry. It air dries out naturally. You can put this in your backpack, your shirt pocket, your purse, your duffel bag. And the next time you're ready to paint, you just open it up. Put it together like this. Ready to go. These are great for vacation, weekend getaways. If you're going out doing some plein air painting at the park, in the backyard, visiting relatives and things, and you want to do a little painting. When everyone's arguing about politics, you can kind of sneak out and do a little drawing and painting. That's what I do. In any case, let's keep going. So we're going to stick with the mountain here. Let's do the light wash of the mountain. Since we use French ultramarine blue, let's just stick with that. We have that in the colors already, so let's kind of do that. Let's just... Maybe we'll put a little bit of green in there too. So French ultramarine blue and some green. And you can go right into the trees over here, the dark trees, because this is light. So this light wash, you can go right in there. No one's ever going to see it. And then you just go right around the rooftops, and you can leave a little bit of lights if you want. On the tops of the roofs or around the trees, you can leave a little bit of lights. But if you get that nice light bluish light tonal value around the whole mountain area here, that's going to look good. It's going to feel like it's sitting back in the painting, far in the background there. Like that. It's going to dry a lot lighter. Right now it looks a little bit dark, but you'll imagine watercolor always dries lighter. So if you can always remember that in your mind, if you're just starting out and you're kind of newer to watercolor, always remember watercolor dries lighter. So if you put it on a little bit darker, it's going to dry quite a bit lighter, maybe half of what you would think. So if you go a little darker, you're okay. All right, so that's the mountains in the background. Maybe we add a little purple. Now, if you add a little purple to the mountains here, which I think we're going to do, like so, which looks great, the only thing you have to remember is you'll have to add it to the rest of your painting. So you'll take that purple and you'll start maybe adding it into some tree areas. Because if you introduce a new color that you haven't used before and you've finished up like 3/4 of the painting, so if you're 75% done with your painting and you haven't used purple yet, and then all of a sudden now you decide, oh, I'm going to use purple, just remember, it's really a simple rule. All you have to do is take that purple and just remember to fuse it in all around the painting, even in a lighter, very, very light fashion. Just as long as you have it in there, it'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I'm taking that purple and I'm putting it a little bit everywhere, here and there, nice and subtle. No, that doesn't have to be a lot, just enough so that you see it. And that'll be fine. All right, look at that. We are all set. We have our distant mountain in. Let's do a little bit of some color now here, just in the roadway. Let's take our brush and kind of swing it right in the way it's going to be going, the roadway right here like this. Like this. And the same thing over here. Let's take some of that roadway and go this way. Take your brush and do a swing around just like this, the same way you would want someone to kind of view it and go into the painting. Use your brush stroke the same way. Maybe make a little darker lines so you can see it a little more. A little bit of purple in there too, maybe. And we have a little bit of shadow over here. Maybe I'll put some shadows here. Underneath the eaves of the roof, I might put some purple shadows there. And then maybe we'll have a little bit of a door there. And there's a little bit of a wall there. Like that. So you can make a little bit of an outline there where this wall is over here. A little bit of a dark up there. Top of the door. And I think this is really looking fine. The only thing we have to do now is get that sap green, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, sap green, lots of sap green. And let's just make our dark up here, and we'll take our brush and kind of hold it like this on the side, and we're going to do some scrubbing like this. And just have a fun time doing circular patterns. Like this, just scrub around, circular patterns. So we're going to pretend there's a tree coming out this way and over here. You could take your fingernail and do a couple scrapes where you might have some branches. Like that. Maybe a little bit of splashes. You could take some water, mix it over here. Maybe a little bit of French ultramarine blue, a little cooler. A couple splashes like this. Like that. Maybe a few more bits of a couple finger taps. A couple more splashes. Like that. A little more darks there in the tops of the windows. And then you'll see how it really comes together once you have all the darks. Like this. I'm going to leave that really, really dark up there in the corner of the painting. Burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, sap green, lots of dark. Like that. A little bit of yellow ochre over here, maybe. Splash on a little bit of yellow ochre with some water. Maybe just have a little bit of that golden color. You can always take a little bit of tissue or paper towel and blot up a couple areas that you want to. If you maybe paint over an area in your painting and you want to just lift up some of the paint strokes, you could do that with a little bit of paper towel or tissue. So like if you paint over a section of your wall over here of your building, you can just easily roll up your paper towel or your tissue and just blot it up like that. Lift it up, give it a couple little presses, quick, and voila, perfect. You don't have to worry. That's and you can do a few more. Do a couple little branches, just a few little branches, and again this has a good point on it, this brush, so I can get a couple good branches going here and there. Like that. And then we keep things light over here in the distance. That might have been a little darker than I would think would have been good, but we can lift that up. You just dab a little bit of water on there, and then take your tissue or paper towel and blot it up. And there you go. You have, and then you have red and orange. Let's mix some red and orange just to get that back. And again, not every part of your painting might look perfect, but that's all right. Again, enjoy all the parts of your painting, and if some of the parts do not come out good, you're just going to remember that the next time. You'll remember that you're going to be doing something a little differently. So let's put in some darks over here where these windows are. I'm not fussing around too much, just a quick little bit like this. Like that, so you can kind of see a little bit of darks at the tops of the doors and windows. Usually there's more shadow at the tops of the windows and the doors, so you're always safe if you go with a darker tonal value or a darker wash at the very tippy tops of your windows and doors. And then as they get down lower, they're lighter because the light is catching the bottoms of the doors, but the light can't always get to the upper part of the door because there's usually an overhang. Usually the door sets in to the building facade that we're working on. So you can always remember that you'll always be safe to add a little darker shadow at the top of your windows and doors. That always will help you. All right, so look at that. We're pretty much, everything is good, complete. All you have to do is pull up the tape and sign the painting and you are good. You'll put it into a frame. So I'll lift up my reference photo. I'll set that aside and we'll lift up and see how good it looks once you lift up the tape off the painting. And I'm careful to lift it off on a 45-degree angle like this so that it doesn't tear the paper. Like that. Same thing over here. Like that. And you'll see how once you lift up that tape too, I'm always suggesting everyone, I always say this, please tape your paintings before you, even a composition, even if you're just working with like fun practice time or anything like that, always put some tape around your border of your paper so that when you lift off the tape it looks more finished. It looks like a finished project, a finished painting. It really does make it look the best that it can look. And then there we go. One more. And that looks fantastic. All right, everyone. Enjoy your paintings. Have a fun time. Enjoy the process of just starting out with your design, putting your grid lines on your subject matter, working from your subject matter, your photographs, or maybe you're going to take some plastic and put it over your phone and make a grid line over the top of your phone with some plastic, some Mylar plastic. I cover that in many of my videos, using Mylar plastic to put over the top of your phone, your computer screen, your TV screen, or your books. You might have some books you don't want to mark up or make pencil lines on. You can do that too. You just put plastic over it, clear, thin film plastic with lines on it with magic marker, let's say, some Sharpie really thin line markers. And you do the same thing here. You put your grid lines on with pencil on your paper, your watercolor paper, when you're ready to go and start your painting and drawing. And you'll have a really wonderful time knowing that you can have really confidence that you're going to get everything pretty much in the right area of your composition when you're starting out and drawing. That's the main thing I wanted to emphasize about using grid lines and you can add more lines if you want. Sometimes only 4 lines, like 4 divisions of your subject matter might be fine, but sometimes you might use more lines. But usually if you use a grid pattern of 4, that's usually pretty good, but you can make more grid lines to help you to get more things more accurate. But I think we had enough here that we were able to get it pretty good, pretty accurate. I think you'll agree that that is pretty accurate to the photograph. It's pretty close because we did use those grid lines again, and I'm hoping you'll use those in your paintings too as you go forward. In watercolor, again, thanks for coming by. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next video. And again, I always say, please, subscribe so you don't lose track of us, and it doesn't really cause any problems for you. There's no phone calls or text messages on your phones or anything like that with subscribing. All subscribing is YouTube is just letting you know if you like me and you like my videos. If you click subscribe, they're just going to send you my video the next time you open up YouTube. You'll see my video in your queue somewhere on your homepage when you open up YouTube, and you'll see my video there. So you'll kind of see that I've made a new video, and then you can jump along in there and start painting along, drawing and painting along with us. Okay, so until next time when we meet again, we'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.